What's up? Big Herc916, positivity, motivation. You know I like keeping you guys laced up, giving you some game. And some of you were asking in the last video I dropped about you need to hear this. You were inquiring about some books I read that woke me up. You know, because a lot of you guys are sleeping. You're sleepwalking. You're in the daze. You've been hypnotized. They've fed you false information. Therefore, you walk, but you have no path. I'm going to break down a few of the books I read and a few I haven't completely read. But one of the books I came across while in prison that laced me up a little bit on some of the intricacies of just the banking, government, politics was this book right here. The Most Secret Science. So this book, it says, it appears that the greatest stumbling block to acceptance of necessary data for financial survival and the conclusions which must be reached by the individual is the feeling of unreality which the truth holds the very people who seek it. So this book breaks down a lot of crazy stuff, man, and I can't remember when I read this on my journey, but this was written by Archibald E. Roberts, Lieutenant Colonel, AUS retired, I believe. You can try to Google the book, but one of the things it says, it talks about the Hegelian principle of bringing about change in a three-step process: thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. First step is thesis, to create a problem. The second step, antithesis, is to generate opposition to the problem, fear, panic, hysteria. The third step is synthesis, is to offer the solution to the problem created in step one, change which would have been impossible to impose on the people without the proper psychological conditioning achieved in stages 1 and 2. Man, don't that sound crazy? Steps 1 and 2? Does it sound familiar? If it does, it's because it's nothing new under the sun. This is stuff that's been going on for, forever. I mean, since the conception of the U.S. government, the United States of America, Washington, D.C., this is something that's been created by the powers that be. And this book goes into a lot of different things. I'm not going to get into detail, but you can see I highlighted a bunch of pages in here, just notes and stuff I was taking while in prison. This book blew my mind. I'll browse through here real quick and just pick something that will kind of like blow your mind real quick. Let me see. I'll pick something right here. Let me see something. It says right here, in governing the populace, unrest cannot be averted. Therefore, it must be channeled and cultivated. This is a creed of Big Brother fictional dictator George Orwell's book 1984, originally published in 1948. So that's a quote from George Orwell. It says, this talks about the Bolsheviks and about how all that was financed by the powers that be. Let me see. So much stuff in here. I really don't know. Some people think that the Federal Reserve banks are United States government institutions. They are not government institutions. They are private monopolies which prey upon the people of the United States for benefit of themselves and their foreign customers. That's Congressman Louis T. McFadden. Which is not a question. It says the Open Market Committee of the Federal Reserve System is composed of 7 members of the Board of Governors, 5 members who are presidents of Federal Reserve banks and who are directed by private commercial banking interests. The Open Market Committee has the power to obtain and does obtain the printed money of the United States Federal Reserve notes, free from the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. The Fed exchanges these printed notes, the Federal Reserve notes, which are not, of course, interest-bearing, for government obligations, which are interest-bearing. This is how interest is generated on federal debt, the $1 trillion federal debt. So I'm not a banker, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not anybody involved in politics. I'm just sharing information as a disclaimer, but read the book on your own. This book has a lot of knowledge in it, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. But that's one of the books that kind of opened my mind in regards to just breaking down a lot of the fallacies we were taught about the money system, the banking system, about just government and politics in general, and about the intentions to put us all into servitude, man. Have everybody in debt and basically owing to the money powers that be. One of the things about history that opened my eyes up was this book right here, Revealing America's Dark Skin Past. So this talks about Christopher Columbus. It talks about the natives that were here before him, the so-called settling of Americas. Just a lot of the history that wasn't taught in school. And this book is pretty thin. You can dig, you could dig deeper than this, but a lot of what they, taught us about the Pilgrims and just the settlers and all this stuff, man. There was a lot of savagery, and throughout history, I'm not going to say that one imperialist conquest was better than the next. I mean, it's been savagery from day one. I mean, you can go all the way back to the conquering of the Persian Empire. You can go back to the Roman Empire. You can go back to some of the old African empires where when they conquered, they enslaved and they slaughtered. So it's nothing new, but at least if you know the truth, you won't be sitting around with some false perspective of how innocent it is that somebody came over here and they acquired all this wealth, and now you have these generational families that control this country who have built it on pillaging and taking from those who couldn't defend themselves. So they got volume 1 and they have volume 2. So there's 2 volumes to this book, and I don't get paid for endorsing these books. I'm just sharing information, giving it to you in doses. Christianity before Christ. A lot of you guys, I don't get into religion. I'm a spiritual person, but when you start talking about Christianity and, people try to, a lot of people push a lot of things about religion on me, about some of my comments, don't say this, don't say that. Dude, do your homework, Go and read about a lot of the comparisons between Christianity and a lot of the paganism, the pagan beliefs that existed in Rome prior to Christianity, and the Council of Nicaea, where they actually merged a lot of the 2 beliefs together so that they can keep the kingdom together. The kingdom was being torn apart. So there's a lot of history, and when you go and start reading this stuff, it'll blow your mind, man. I mean, when you start researching old Babylonian text and comparing it to a lot of the stuff that they incorporated into the Bible, the similarities are mind-blowing. And so when you talk about all these different things, a lot of you really have no clue. And I'm not knocking your religion. I'm just telling you that, we all have the right to believe what we want to believe, as long as we're not imposing on anybody else, trying to force somebody to follow our beliefs. That's one of the blessings we have here, is that the freedom of worship. So I'm not telling you how to worship, where to worship, who you should worship. I'm just saying that if you believe one thing, then hey, more power to you. If you believe another thing, more power to you. But just know the context of what you're talking about. And there's a lot of information out there that you might want to take the time to read, so you can get overall knowledge of everything. And I'm not saying it to discredit your beliefs. I'm just saying, before you beliefs on others, you should kind of have an understanding of what it is you're trying to impose. So another book with a lot of game, and it's just so much information out there, and I still have a lot of stuff to read. A lot of this stuff I've read, but I have to read it again, and it'll blow your mind, man. This book right here is a book on American history in black and white, setting records straight. Another great book. This book, written by David Barton, and it just talks about a lot of the stuff that happened in history, as far as some of the first blacks who got involved in politics. It talks about a lot of the things relating to the slave trade and property. It talks about some of the fallacies that we were taught in school, and it brings light to a lot of the misconceptions and the different parties, the Democrats, the Republicans, just what a lot of the initial principles were and how they've been distorted. And I'm not trying to advocate one political party or the other. I'm just saying, do your homework, man. And the more you research, the more knowledge you'll acquire, which will give you a better thought. I'm not saying to dwell in the past, but I'm saying that at least if you have information, you can make better decisions and better choices, so that you don't say things out of context and think that you're sharing information, and you're actually putting out false information. So these are some of the books I'm lacing you guys up on right now. There's a lot of other books. I got a few others, but I'm gonna leave that for another video. But yeah, man, besides just living life, enjoying and doing your thing, it's great to read and sometimes get off social media to expand your mind, so that you can see what the hell is really going on in the world, and understanding the context of when they put things on the news, when they, push stuff into like these different streams, Twitter and what have you, there's a narrative behind them. And if you go back and start researching and learn the past, you'll be able to better deal with the present and realize that this is favorable to the party publishing the information, because it favors whatever their long-term agenda is. So just be on your P's and Q's, man, and stay laced up, man. Big Herc916. Don't forget to stop by the Big Herc916 store and pick you up a beanie, or maybe a sticker for your car, or a sticker for your laptop, or read one of the many books that I've authored. You know how we do it over here. Big Herc916. Lockdown's over. Get your yard time in. Exclusively at FreshOutSeries.com. Hello, I'm Big Herc916. Contact me for life coaching and motivational speaking.